Hi, my name's Stefan, and today I'm going to be teaching a little mini guitar lesson for someone who's never picked up a guitar before. So the first thing we need to talk about are the strings of the guitar. There are 6 strings, and I'm going to number them 1 through 6, and they also have a note name as well. So we have our very first string, the highest one down here, and that's E, and then we have our second string, B, third string, G, fourth string, D, fifth string, A, and finally our sixth string, E. Again, but this time it's 2 octaves lower. And the next thing that we need to talk about are our finger numbers. So we have a number for each finger as well. We have pointer finger, number 1, middle finger, number 2, ring finger, number 3, and pinky, number 4. And the next thing are our fret numbers. So just like we played all those strings, those are all open strings, which are going to be numbered as 0 or open. And then we move up from there, we just count up. So our first fret here, first little metal ridge, we put our finger just slightly below that. That is the first fret. Then moving up, second fret, third fret, fourth fret, and then fifth fret. And once we get to our fifth fret on the lowest E string, we're going to be playing the same note as our fifth string, or A. So we go from E to A, and then you can do that on the next string as well. And once we get to the fifth fret here, we're playing D, the next string over, and then from our D string, our fourth string, we move up, first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret, fifth fret, we're playing a G, and then this G string is just a little different, so if we move up 1, 2, 3, 4 frets, this time we're going to be playing the next string, which is a B, and then finally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're all the way up to our highest string, which is E. So the next thing we're going to talk about, now that we have our string numbers, letters, finger numbers, and fret numbers down, is how to play some really basic chords. So we're going to look at just 4 chords today that you can play quite a lot of music with, actually. So the very first chord that I like to start with is E minor, because we only need our second and third fingers, the middle and ring fingers. And if we take our second finger, go to the 5th string, and place it on the 2nd fret, and then our third finger on the 4th string, also at the 2nd fret, so they're right next to each other, and we play all the rest of the strings open, we get an E minor chord. Nice little sad chord there. Very easy to play, doesn't require too much hand stretching. And then we're going to move to the C chord. So here we have our third finger on the 5th string at the 3rd fret, and then our second finger on the 4th string on the 2nd fret, and then our first finger on the 2nd string on the 1st fret. So it should kind of look like a little lopsided staircase if you're looking at your hands. And if we don't play this very last low E, it's going to be X'd out on the little chord chart there, we'll have our C chord. And the next chord is D. And so for D, we're going to start with our first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then our 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the very 1st string. And we're going to not play these 2 lowest notes here, the E and A. So we just play the bottom 4, and that gives us our D. And then our very last chord, which is the hardest one for someone starting out on guitar, is G. So we're going to have our 3rd finger, 3rd fret of the 6th string, and then our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and finally our pinky or 4th finger all the way on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. So I'm going to play the rest of the strings open in the middle. And that gives us our G chord. So take a little bit of time, practice each of those chords. And once you start to feel like you can move in between each of those chords, you want to be very slow at first, but that's fine. You can take your time. So as we look at some music and move through these 4 chords, we're going to talk about something called strumming, which is, we have our guitar pick here, and strumming is either down or up. And you can do some kind of cool effects with that, changing the way a song sounds by playing up and down strums. So the simplest one is to just go up and down, right? But you can do some down, down, up, down, down, up, and all the way into something kind of more complicated, like then it's time to start learning some music. So the first song I'm going to start with today is by the band Neutral Milk Hotel. It's one of my favorite songs, actually. Very easy to play. So we're going to start with our G chord, and then we go to our E minor, then to C, then to D, and those are all the chords in this song. It's called In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, and I'll give you a quick little snippet of it. And one day we will die, and our ashes will fly from the aeroplane over the sea. But for now we are young, let us keep in the sun and count every beautiful thing you can see. And I know it's a little bit advanced there, so when you first start out, just try playing each of the chords with one strum down, and as you get a little bit better at that, you can start working on a little more intricate strumming like I was doing. So we have down, down, up, down, up, 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 down, and that's the entirety of that whole song. Very easy to play. Just uses those 4 chords. So let's look at another song that you also might know that uses just those 4 chords. It's the song Wagon Wheel. This is the Darius Rucker version. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. So here we have G, D, E minor, and C. And those are all the chords for this song. Just the same 4 chords played in a little bit of a different order. And then once again we can get into our strum pattern here. The one I like for this song is down, down, up, 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 down, down, up. And once again, that's all you need to play that song. About is the pentatonic scale. And we're going to look at just one of the pentatonic scales today, E minor. But the great thing about the pentatonic scale, or any scale on the guitar for that matter, is that once you learn it in one key, you can play it in every single key simply by moving it up and down the frets. So for the E minor pentatonic scale, we have all the open strings. And we're going to start with our lowest open string, which is E, the 6th string. And then we're going to take our 3rd finger and put it on the 3rd fret of that same string. Move up just like that to A, and then we're going to have our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, or the 5th string, and then to our 4th string, G, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, the 3rd string, D, once again our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, and then we get back to B, and it's just like the first one where we have our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the string, and finally our 1st string, E, just like our very first string too, we have our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret as well. So take a minute and try and play through that a few times. Right, and just keep playing through it until you get really comfortable with it. And then, once you get pretty comfortable with it, you can move around in the scale, kind of however you want, you know? Starting over on the far end, you know, moving back over to the start of it. You can move, you can play 2 notes at the same time, you can play 3 notes at the same time. A lot of different stuff you can do in the pentatonic scale. It's fun to play around in. And the great thing with this is that all of the songs that we just looked at will fit right in with this pentatonic scale, because they all fall in the key of E minor or G. So if we take our very first song, the Aeroplane over the sea, we can move around and do some kind of fun stuff. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. And this is one of my favorite things to teach, because once you've got some of these chords down, my favorite thing with students is to take turns with me moving around in the pentatonic scale while they play the chords, and then switching that around, so I'll play the chords and they move around in the pentatonic scale just to get a little feel for it, find out what sounds good. But with these simple chords and this one single scale, you can play all kinds of music, from country to pop to rock to blues. Really, a lot of music falls into just a few chords and just one scale. And if you want to move around to some different keys besides E minor, we can take this little thing, something called a capo, and it makes it really easy to take that same E minor pentatonic scale and same chords and play some different songs. Like if we put our capo all the way up on the 7th fret or the 3rd dot, can play my favorite Creedence Clearwater song, Bad Moon on the Rise. And then you can have a little fun moving around because they love the pentatonic scale. And just moving around that one scale, you can create your own little version of really cool song. And yeah, that's all I have for today, but I hope you learned something new, and I hope that this helps you learn to play the guitar just a little bit better.